if one used it as a seasoning in cooking? A1 has 13 seasonings in it.
13!
A1 adds enormous flavor. Shake some in the stew, Igor.
Stew!
Shake some on the meatballs, Beverly. You can use it to season salads, fish, and now. A1 is for sauce that's a seasoning. 13 seasonings. Experiment with it.
Good evening, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the Wednesday Night Scream Stream mini-sode. I'm your host, Spakenstein, joined as always by my very good friend, Mr. Evan Sink.
Good evening, everybody.
How we doing tonight, Evan, and everybody out there? How are we doing?
We're doing great. I'm sorry, not to speak for everybody.
Oh no, you are, Evan.
For everybody.
You are the everyman. You're the.
That's right. Yeah. So I will speak for everybody. We're doing great. We're doing great as 2 1s, which is what we have. We're in season 11. This is our 11th.
11. Isn't that crazy? You know, we back at the end of last season obviously celebrated 100 episodes, but we kind of brushed over the fact that we've done, I guess, 100 mini-sodes, really more than 100.
Well, yeah.
You know, we've had some serials that have run 12 chapters. I think we've always kept it around 10. So we're running about 100 minisodes, but yeah. So this is the 11th show, and we balance out our minisodes. We switch between TV shows and movie serials. We just finished a movie serial last season with The Phantom Empire, which was a really fun Weird West vehicle starring Gene Autry. And
very weird, especially the ending.
Yeah. Well, you know, at the end of the day, the man is doing what he loves. He's singing on his ranch, and
that's what's important.
That's all that matters.
Forget about all those people.
That's what we learned about a singing cowboy. You know, it's about entertaining the people and not so much worrying about the underground civilization beneath your ranch. They'll sort out their own problems. You should never get involved with them. That's what that taught me. So
Just being a good neighbor.
Right, exactly. That's just neighborly, partner. So no, we enjoyed that, and now we're kicking it back to a television series. And yes, as Kathy has said, we're getting ready for a night of suspense, a whole season of suspense, because that is the program that we will be watching on our season 11. So Suspense, which is an anthology program that a little more nebulous in terms of description. You can't call it a horror anthology or a sci-fi anthology. Maybe you could call it a mystery anthology. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with Suspense. I don't know a lot about it. So that's one thing over the course of the season. I'm going to need to learn a little more about the show so I can, and maybe you guys will learn me a little bit about the show if you know, which...
Yeah, what is Suspense? I've never heard of this thing before.
Yeah, I need somebody to explain it, and don't just use Hitchcock's description of suspense, okay? I want something more creative than that. We've all heard Hitchcock's description. We all know about the bomb under the table. it's gonna be fun, and it's gonna be new to me. So I'm glad that I'm glad that Kathy is here to enjoy it tonight. And I hope everybody else here tonight enjoys Suspense. It's new to me, so we'll enjoy it together, hopefully. And Kathy, yeah, I'm not sure how it compares to the radio program. I'm sure that the two are connected, because with the other early television shows that we've seen, like Lights Out with our minisodes, we know that a lot of these early television programs transitioned over from the radio. Lights Out started on the radio, and then it was adapted onto television. That's how tonight's program, I believe, comes to us. It was started on the radio and then was adapted to television. And I see that Glastra is in the house. Hope you're doing well tonight, Glastra. Nice for you to be here. Again, joining us on this 11th set of minisodes here that we kick off with Suspense. And I don't think this has a host, which would be a little different from the other anthologies that we've seen.
Or does it?
Or does it? I don't know. Maybe we're...
Suspense for you.
Well, that's what this show is all about. It's going to be keeping us in suspense the whole time. And yeah, maybe those old radio shows. I think I've caught a couple of episodes of Suspense on the Sirius XM has a classic radio channel that plays a lot of these mystery stories just in the middle of the day. So I'll be riding along with my dad, and you know, he loves listening to those radio shows, which, I mean, come on, it's keeps you locked in, it keeps you entertained. It's, you know, especially if you've got a long trip, you know, it's just,
yeah,
they knew what they were doing with the old.
Forget the top 40. I want the 1940. Bring me a old radio play.
That's the thing, you know, back in the 40s, they would do radio adaptations of movies that hadn't even come out yet with the actors who were in the movie. So you basically can get, you know, see the movie before you really see it. But it's, you know, radio was a totally unique medium in its time. You know, that's the thing. Whenever a lot of these shows did transition to television, it was, I think, balked at initially, like, oh, well, you're going to be really limited on what you can do in television, because as we've seen with,
you have a lot more freedom on the radio.
You do. It's all up in the imagination and the sound effects. But on television shows, which like Lights Out and Tales of Tomorrow, when they're being shot live, you know, there's a lot of room for mistake and error. And that's, you know, radio, you're a little more, you can avoid littles, you know, oh, somebody dropped the cowbell that they were supposed to hit to, you know, signify the, you know, I don't know. You know, that's the beauty of radio, is you can improv. People wouldn't know if you made a mistake as much as on TV. You know, we've seen it with these with these episodes, and it's fun. It is enjoyable. But and yes, Kathy, that YouTube channel, the Late Late Horror Show, I know they've got some good stuff on there. And thank you, Glastra. I will up Evan's volume a little. You're too quiet, Evan. You go speak up
over here.
You're too quiet.
I'm way here in the back.
Let's see. Let's go. I cranked you up a little bit. I think you'll be. And thank you, Glastra, for letting us know. Again, yes, we can. We always try to address the technical things if we can to make it better for you guys to hear and to see us as we babble on and ramble and riff at, you know. What, you know, I will say a lot of these old TV shows are usually a lot of fun. We have fun with these anthology series because it's every week you get something a little different. And you know, again, with this, I think maybe we won't get a host, but it seems like they're pretty good on guest stars. So tonight we're kicking off the first episode with a pretty recognizable face here on the stream. Of course, and who do you think? Famous horror movie star. Hmm.
Could,
Yeah.
could it be someone with a multitude of faces, maybe?
Yeah. Well, it could be. It could be. You could say that he has a knack for pulling off the uncanny.
Hmm.
Hmm. Who
Hmm.
could it be?
Who could
Okay.
it be? It's the Campbell Soup guy.
It came. It's it's the Campbell Soup guy. No, it's Boris Karloff, and
Uh-oh.
yeah, which I believe it was. Was the Veil the first TV show that we watched? I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh wait, no, we watched One Step Beyond first.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That
We
one.
did One Step Beyond, then we did the Phantom Creeps, and then we did the Veil.
Mhm.
And the Veil was a Boris Karloff hosted anthology series that did not last very long, and it was okay. We enjoyed it. We had fun with it. And so we've seen him stretch his acting muscles on television before. He was in an episode of Tales of Tomorrow, I think. The first episode of Tales of Tomorrow that we watched.
Right. Yeah.
The man's had experience with live television, as we've seen. This will be an early appearance. I think this is from 1949. So we're pretty early here tonight. Some early television. And tonight's episode is entitled A Night at an Inn. And kind of an innocuous sounding title. But it's I believe it's an adaptation of a story by Lord Dunsany. And it's this show was known for doing a lot of adaptations. I think Suspense would feature original work, and I don't know if the radio the radio version had like original plays written just for the radio, or if they mixed in adaptations of famous stories, but it seems like the show definitely mixed in adaptations. So we're gonna see what this is. I'm sure Boris Karloff will be very sinister, running around doing his. So it's gonna be good. And I see we've got Dogstar and we've got Ethan in the chat. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for being here tonight. We are about to get into the first episode of Suspense here on the Scream Stream for season 11 minisodes. Anything before we get into A Night at an Inn, Evan?
Yeah. Can I give my definition of suspense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So now that we're back on YouTube, imagine there's a community guidelines strike under the table.
That's the perfect description. That's exactly what this is. We are every time we broadcast YouTube now, we're playing the game of suspense. And suffice to say, if we do cut out, please let us know in the chat immediately that we have cut out, and I will be monitoring that on my phone. But I will say, Lady Frankenstein, we made it through. We did get taken down once, but we got back on and we kept it going. So I wish I knew what they took us down for, so I know if I can play that movie again or not on the Saturday Night Shockers. I don't know. But
they were just messing with us.
They're like, all right, we're giving you a hard time. We've almost got a clean record. Tomorrow our record will be our strike will go away, and
so
again,
if we can make it through the next hour,
then we'll be good. But we'll try to catch it before it gets to strike point. If we do, but again, this is definitely public domain. So know, not that that matters to YouTube. Again, like Kathy is saying, it's educational, right? We have to know that we are an educational show, which
Right.
we are. So, and that's right. Yeah. See. Yep. There we go. Oh, that's cool, Glastra. There you go. Yeah. See, that's I'd like to do that. Go pay my respects to Mary Shelley. I'm gonna have to do that at some point. I'm gonna put that down on the bucket list. Let's see. Get my YouTube email pulled up. That way I'm ready. All right. So on that note, Evan, if you've got it queued up.
I am ready.
All right. We're going to go ahead and get into the exciting beginning of Suspense, episode entitled A Night at an Inn, right now.
And now,
And now,
Off to a great start.
your host tonight on the Autolite Theater is the maker of the famous wide gap Autolite resistor spark plug. The spark plug that's ignition engineered by Autolite men who make complete ignition systems for many of America's finest cars. Autolite makes over 400 products for cars and trucks. Spark plugs,
Here we go.
hubcaps, headlights, radiator grills, batteries,
completely
wiring
reliable
cables,
and
ignition
dependable.
systems, speedometers,
Or
instruments,
is it?
taillights, and many
As
more.
we know about these television shows, it's all about the sponsor.
You're always right with Autolite.
Autolite, the Autolite Theater. Dun, dun.
Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations everywhere present the famous suspense story of the supernatural.
tell me more about the spark plugs.
I want to know more about these sparkles. Organist is just fucking killing it. They definitely brought this guy over from the radio.
Ooh.
Gotta learn how to play these cues onto my little Casio over here. So I start noodling away during the show.
Is this Demon Street?
Ooh. Suspense on a scale of 1 to 10, we're already at a 7, I'd say.
I think so, yeah.
Look at her
Anytime
closing
you've
the
got a woman
windows.
Playing like. Yes.
A knock at the door. Ooh. Ah!
Go ahead, girl. Answer the door. Maybe some poor wayfarer.
Could you put us up for the night?
Sorry, sir, the house is full up.
But my wife's in the car and she's quite ill. We've been driving for miles and miles over these blasted moors.
Sorry, sir.
But you can't be full up. Why, the house looks empty.
That's right, sir. We're full
Why are we
up
so
and
close?
lonely.
I know.
We really don't need a bed. We will sit by the fire all night.
Suspense, Evan.
Take my wife out of this misty night.
12 miles on, so you'll find a farmhouse. Sometimes they take folks in. Good night, sir.
But you're a tavern. You're a public inn. I can tell from the looks of you, you're practically empty.
Sorry, sir. A certain party has taken the
We're all
pub
full.
over. Entire and complete.
You think you're better than baby Jesus? You're not better than baby Jesus. You don't get a room at the inn.
Yeah, we've got to keep a room open for the Messiah.
How much longer are you keeping us here?
There's
for?
no room.
He won't tell you. Never know a thing with a talk. He's a quiet one. How long did you rent this here pub for?
Your turn, Albert.
Will that be all for tonight, then, sir? It's late, you know.
You can leave out 3 meat pies and 2 bottles of claret.
Yes, sir.
Meat
And
pies.
They're all on the dresser. Good night, sir.
Wait.
Who's back in the
You're
kitchen?
the only one sleeping in
Sweeney
now?
Todd.
You sleep alone in the garret, do you?
I do.
Well, I hope you sleep well tonight. And if you should hear anything irregular, don't feel you have a duty to get up and investigate.
Oh, no, sir, I won't. Indeed, I won't.
Oh, so menacing.
It is, like,
What's
this
the
is pretty
idea?
suspenseful.
What do you-
I'm feeling kind of anxious.
Never tell us what you talk. Oh, he's a clever one, mates. And you and me, why, who are we? Just 3 bloomin' idiots. Am I right, Torp?
That's right, Sniggers.
3 idiots sailors, lost on the blasted moor.
I tell you this, Torp. We may be 3 bloody merchant seamen to you, but there's one thing I've learned.
What's that, Sniggers?
Yes, sir. I've been sailing from cape to cape, and in all the rich corners of India. And there's one thing I've learned.
I'm waiting.
It's the clever ones, Torp. The clever ones as make some money.
Ah, he's right. It's the clever ones that keeps everything to themselves.
Their plans are clever enough, but they don't work. They don't work. Because they forget some one little thing that simple fools like us could see.
Tell us, Top. Tell us what your plans are.
Aren't you the clever ones, though?
I know what he's keeping us here for.
So they can't find us.
Ah, but I'm sick of it.
How can they find us?
They're nothing but 3 heathens. Who's afraid of 3 heathens, eh, Snickers?
We can't keep hiding forever.
Yeah, Dog Star, I'm just gonna say yes.
World's over.
Remember that first night in Bombay?
Aye, that was the top's mistake then.
He was clever, all right. He was so clever he let them follow us right onto the boat.
That's where the old trouble started. If them 3 heathens hadn't followed us onto that boat, we might have had our little trophy sold by now.
Aye.
Am I right, Sniggers?
Sold and the money divided between us like we always said.
Aye. How much do you figure that ruby's worth?
Any price.
How much is any?
A
Any
ruby.
price we ask.
That's the
how much
MacGuffin.
the ruby'll bring.
Cool, and here we sit on the misty moors.
Of course, you can't ever let on with a temper, Ruby. Folks is superstitious.
Aye. And no matter how big it is, if people knew we stole that ruby from a temple, right out of the bleeding idol's eye.
That's right. They'd never touch it.
Why? It's still a ruby, ain't it?
Yes, but it's a temple ruby from Hindustan.
And that's what makes the difference.
Did you hear steps?
I heard something outside. Wasn't steps exactly.
Wind. That's all wind.
Wind, foggy night.
What'd you say, mates?
It's pretty creaky for wind.
Now, will you look who's in a panic now?
Now, but you've seen them 3 heathens. That makes it different. And so is Sniggers, but not me. Every time I hears a noise and every time
Look at here, Bill. It don't do no good to go looking and listening. Because when they come from behind. And they come without a sound.
like they did to poor old Jim in Malta.
That's right.
Poor old Jim in Malta.
George, Bombay. Oh, stop.
Oh, easy now, Bill. We're safe out here. I give them dark devils the slip.
You give him a slip?
Aye.
Put a stick in the fire, Albert. Brighten the place up a bit.
I had the ruby, and I give them the slip. All 3 of them.
How'd you ever do it?
Well, they were following me.
Who told them you had the ruby? You didn't sell it.
You didn't have to. They kind of know.
They kind of know.
Yes. They know if you've got it. They always know.
That's the mystery we was trying to tell you about. There they are now, following me down the streets of Arles. I goes up to a policeman and I tells him. And he says, oh, they're nothing but 3 Hindus and they won't hurt me.
Why'd you have the policeman arrest them?
For what? For trying to get back the ruby we stole?
Aye, so I walks through. Then I turns a corner, then I runs. I never sees a corner but I turns it. And I never turns a corner but I runs. And you know the streets of Arles. Well, after 2 hours, I sits and I waits. I waits. And what do you think?
What?
No priests.
What?
No. Those dark devils with gold spots on their faces. I give them the slip. Well done, Albert. That's why I didn't jump when you said you thought you heard something. Because I knew we were safe. Now, come on, Bill, and play up. Play up. Whose turn is it anyhow?
Mine.
Albert, why didn't you tell us before? So it could ease our mind.
Because the toffee don't want me to say nothing. No. He's got his plans and things must be done his way. Oh, you and me are stupid fools. And if it wasn't for me what gave him the slip and all, we might have had one of them crooked knives in him right now. But for me, we'll give him the slip.
Albert, Bill, here's the idea.
Give him the slip.
The police are gone, our money's gone.
Right.
So what have we left? Go on to London now and sell that ruby.
Toffee won't come.
We'll leave.
He won't give us the ruby.
We'll take it.
You... Oh.
There's one of them. There's 3 of us.
And be in London tomorrow.
Simple enough, ain't it, Bill?
Simple enough. Once we get the ruby.
Don't worry about that. We'll find a way to get it from them.
Ah!
These guys are conspiring pretty loudly.
Yeah. You know, I heard
shit,
all
you
of
think
that,
you
right? Nice. Balls in your court, bitches. Yeah, the dogs are. You're 100% right. They're really not bad. Like,
Well, goodbye,
they don't
old
sound
man.
like they're putting on bad accents. They sound like they actually
Your fair share.
are
There's nothing to do here.
probably from
No girls,
England.
no dance halls.
Yeah, it sounds like
Must
they
sell
really
that
pulled
ruby.
these guys out
I'm
of
not
some
a
English
fool,
gutter.
Bill.
No, of course not. Of course you ain't. And you've helped us a lot. Well, goodbye, old man. Say goodbye.
Of course. Goodbye.
Mhm.
And open the shutters again, Bill.
I don't suppose you want the door open too, do you?
Whether the door is open or closed, Bill, it doesn't matter.
Well, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Goodbye, coffee, old man.
Mm. Oh. Wow. And we'll go ahead and take our first break right there. Although they are going to do an auto light commercial. Do we want to do that now or save that for after the break?
We can save it.
We'll save
We
it.
can-
We'll save
We
it.
can enjoy it later.
So that was the first half of Suspense, A Night at the Inn. What are we thinking so far, Evan?
I'm definitely enjoying this so far. I like these funny criminals.
Yeah, they're you know, you gotta love any criminal they're so confident in their ability when they know that they probably, you know, they're not the smartest bulbs in there. There's a reason they weren't, you know, taking the lead at first. But then they're like, oh no, we can just take this ruby and walk right out the front door. No questions
really-
asked.
Really didn't take a lot of convincing on their part to double cross their boss.
No. And I mean, again, if you were to double cross somebody and they were to just totally just let you walk all over them and not say anything, you got to think that maybe there's something up their sleeve. You know,
Right,
they know something you don't, right? But no, not these guys. They're too smart for that. These very smart criminals. But you know, I mean, so I guess what I'm gathering is that there's a curse on this ruby.
Yeah.
Some
well,
kind.
it's a temple ruby, so that's
oh,
it's not just any old gemstone.
Oh, what is the what can you tell us about the significance of a temple ruby, Evan?
Well, they didn't really say what temple it came from.
No, they didn't.
It could really mean anything. It came from the. I mean, what are some? I mean, this could be anything. This could be like Aztec temple to like.
What did it? No, they where they say these guys were from. It didn't even make any sense. Hindustan, somewhere that is not a real country. They said something ridiculous.
Okay.
Middle Eastern is, I think,
Right,
is the origin of this temple.
Okay.
Middle East. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. But I mean, and I'm interested to know where Karloff's character fits in. Obviously, he's being quiet. He's being coy. And sure, he's
suspenseful.
Suspense. That's what the show's all about, right? They're gonna save his big monologue for the end, for the climax. Which that was the thing. I was struggling over what to show for this season of minisodes. Were we gonna watch suspense, or were we gonna watch climax? And we went with suspense because suspense has got a little more horror, supernatural stuff than climax. Climax has got some interesting things. Like they've got the first James Bond adaptation, and it's the only Bond adaptation where James Bond is an American, and but it's Casino Royale. It's like a 50-minute teleplay of Casino Royale for climax. Okay. But
that sounds climactic.
Yeah, I mean they had some interesting episodes of that, but I couldn't really build like a season of mini-sodes that were in line with the genres that we normally feature. So suspense was it. And I mean, yeah, so far, first episode, they are checking the boxes. Pretty suspenseful.
Yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat right now.
So we'll see. We'll see what Karloff's really up to. We'll see what curse is really behind this ruby, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see what the spark plug connection is.
Yeah, that's what we really want to find out. By the end of 10 of these, we'll truly know what the meaning of the auto light truly is in our society, because there's something more there. We've got to connect the dots. It's going to take all season. So I hope you're ready. I hope you're. Yeah, I mean, it's, again, that is the funny thing about these television shows is the sponsors. Because what was it that had, was it Tales of Tomorrow went through like 2 different sponsors? It had, who did we have? We had, the watch, right? We had the Chrysler watch bands.
Yeah, Chrysler watch bands.
And then we had, the carpet, Maslin carpet. And like the way that guy was touching the carpet in the commercials was really disconcerting.
I want that guy in every commercial.
I know, honestly, he sold it well, but
some spark plugs.
It would be fun. Don't you see these are quality spark plugs? Just feel them in your hands. Just run around in your hands.
He starts sweating.
Yeah, he would break a sweat for sure. Yeah, no, that's the thing, is the way that these commercials are baked in to the program. And we'll see if Suspense does them in any interesting way, but certainly Tales of Tomorrow was good with that. Obviously the MVP maybe has to be Alcoa in Tales of Tomorrow, because
hard to top.
They were all over the place on that, and it was just Alcoa. I don't know. I don't think that the other shows really had a set sponsor. Like, I don't remember Lights Out having a set sponsor. I could be wrong. Off the top of my head, remember. But again, that's how television worked back in these days. You know, you have your sponsor. They're basically, I guess, essentially fronting most of the money for the show. And so you just they get like script approval, right? Which that was the funny thing about that one episode of Tales of Tomorrow where they like interrupted the broadcast. That was the last one we watched. Do you remember that one?
Right, yeah. The like the meta one.
Yeah, and they're like they're like trying to figure out how they're gonna do the commercial as their broadcast feed is being interrupted. Yeah, that was wild actually. That was a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that episode again. But yeah, I mean, you know, these TV shows, it's kind of funny that they got to do mystery and horror things on the dimes of these big conglomerates. But I guess radio worked the same way. So, like we talked about, it's certainly a precedent. You know, again, I mean, I'm sure they're having to shell out some money for Karloff, right? I mean, Karloff's.
I mean, sure, yeah. This is what, 49?
Yeah. So I mean, he's already, you know, pretty well established and bankable at this point. And I mean, let's just say he had an easier, maybe not an easier time, but certainly he was more consistently working than like Lugosi. You know, I'm sure Karloff was getting paid much better than Lugosi was getting paid, which we have now. Evan, you weren't here for this, but we have previously watched an episode of Suspense back when Fresh Rogan was a regular here on the show, and we watched an adaptation of A Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe, which starred Bela Lugosi. So,
So both got on
yeah,
there.
and maybe we'll watch that again. You know, for shits and gigs. I think I still don't necessarily have enough episodes of Suspense, but maybe we'll revisit that one. I mean, you know, it's always good to get some Lugosi, even if we've already seen it. He's a patron saint.
So they Autolite probably paid Karloff with that ruby, and they paid Lugosi in spark plugs.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's usually how the deals would shake out. If don't know who was doing their contracts, but yeah, Karloff is usually able to get the good end of the stick, and Lugosi seemed to always get the short end. Know why? Always came up with the short end of the straw. But you know, but again, I mean, Lugosi, you know, Lugosi died about 10-ish years before Karloff, and Karloff, you know, he took a lot of work that was beneath him in his last years, much like Lugosi did, just to keep working. And that was nothing short of commercials. And so this little break that we're going to get here are two commercials that Karloff did later in his career. The first is for coffee, which we've seen both of these before, and these have been featured on in our Halloween mixtapes. One of them is an ad for butternut coffee, and the other is for Ronson lighters. And yeah, the Comet, that's what it is, the Comet lighter. So, you know, I mean, Karloff was not above shilling some, you know, pretty cheap. The ad we had in our pre-roll was him selling A1 steak sauce. So, you know, that was a little more premier of a product here, you know. But the butternut commercial's fun, and then the other commercial is just, you know, kind of letting Karloff just kind of do his thing. But yeah, so we'll get to see some Karloff advertising skills, and then when we come back, we'll see how Karloff shakes this ruby out from under this curse as we get into the exciting conclusion of A Night at the End. We're gonna get these 2 commercials, and we'll get that when we come back. So stick around. We'll be right back.
You're going to do a scene with Boris Karloff. Your lines will appear right here. Read them loud and clear.
Come in. You know why I've asked you here. You must convince the villagers that I'm harmless. You're trembling. Are you afraid? Have some nice hot coffee. It's butternut. Like it? Butternut has found a way of making coffee richer without being bitter. Butternut has found a way of making coffee richer without being bitter. Take this. Oh, don't worry. I've lots more. Butternut coffee, regular and instant, rich but never bitter. Ladies and gentlemen, I've devised a torture test between your lighter and my Ronson Comet. Put your thumb on the side of your lighter. Squeeze the light out of it. The Ronson Comet can. Find a dangerous, windy place and see if your flame will blow out. The Ronson Comet won't. Now, twist its neck and see if your lighter carries 2 spare flints and a replaceable spark wheel. The Ronson Comet does. Carefully turn out the lights and adjust your flame to cigarette, cigar, and pipe. Now try to inject your lighter with life-giving butane. 1 gulp from the Ronson multi-pill and the Comet can light for months. If your lighter can't do half the things the Ronson Comet can, get one and have your own torture test.
Oh, by the way, I think my camera was frozen earlier.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. I think you're good now. Looks like you're moving. And we are back. So those were 2 Karloff fronted commercials there. And yeah, the butternut coffee one is interactive.
I really love that.
Yeah.
The interactive commercial. It feels like one of those old choose your own adventure stories.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, Karloff plays into it well. He's personable. He's having fun, he's in on the joke. I mean, that's the thing that a lot of, and Glasser pointed out that a lot of these horror actors, it was kind of their plight that by the end of their career, they're kind of spoofing their image a lot of the times. Yeah. And it, I think they were in on the joke. I think people were laughing with them, not at them, for this part. Which I think Karloff was always more worried about it than the other guys. I think there was a reason Karloff didn't do Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I mean, he was definitely a little more
It's got an image to uphold.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, Lugosi, it's like, okay, well, anything to play Dracula again. I don't care, whatever it is. Just give me a chance. So, yes, Evan's camera is good now. He's not a ventriloquist. Yes, no ventriloquist act. It was the Caligari curse bugging up his webcam system, but it's all good now. It's weird. Sometimes Evan's cam is glitchy. It's not his cam. I know it's the feed, and my hair's doing some weird shit. Sometimes it freezes. It's freezy, and then other times it's smooth like butter. Like right now, it's smooth like butter. So
like butternut coffee.
Like butternut. It's butternut. Yeah, that was Karloff's his like Orson Welles like frozen peas commercial. That's what that was. Yeah, at least hopefully there's no, I wish there were outtakes of Karloff complaining about the the copy. I would do an act out, but I'm very judgmental of my own Karloff impression, so I refuse to do it. But it's
so if in that commercial, Orson Welles gets drunk off of the wine, does Karloff just get really like hyped up off the butternut coffee?
Well, you know what? It's funny because Karloff, I'm pretty sure, wasn't even a coffee guy. He was a tea guy. I mean, come on, he was British. Okay. He was they had to stop for tea every day. He was like, I don't know that it was in his contracts that he would get like a tea break, but like on the Frankenstein movies, like since the director was British and like the cast, a lot of them were British, it was only natural that they would break for tea every day at 3:00, right? That was Roger Corman's big complaint about whenever he worked over in England, is that the English crews worked slower and then they like want to break for tea. And it's like, come on, guys, like we could get so much more done. You're doing great work, but you move slow. You move too slow. But says the man who can make a whole movie in 2 days. I mean, of course, everybody's gonna move slow for you.
Yeah. Roger Corman's like the Flash. Everyone else is just moving in slow motion.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, God knows the man certainly made the most of it in his 93 or 4 years. However old he lived to be, God rest his soul. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty funny to think about Karloff hawking coffee when I'm pretty sure he's a tea guy. So I'm sure there are outtakes of him. Yeah, like it's like they're trying to get him to drink the coffee and he's like refused. Just get him the tea. He wants tea. Yeah, just get him tea.
Did he drink the coffee in the commercial?
No. He definitely didn't. That's true, Glastra. Yeah, I guess it's, and that would explain why you have little like sandwiches with your tea, right? You have a little more.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Here in the United States, we really miss out on customs like that. We don't have a siesta. We don't have tea time. But clearly in other cultures, they're like, oh, okay, in the afternoon, there's gonna be a lull. You're gonna get things are gonna be kind of boring. What do? Oh, go take a nap. Oh, why don't you have some tea and some
everybody just take a break, just chill out for
have some snacks. Yeah, right? Like it's just why? Yeah, like what are we the United States, we need some more cultural customs to abide by in our day-to-day, and I don't know, maybe there's a combination.
We should just go full Hobbit.
Full Hobbit.
Second breakfast, third lunch.
Oh my god!
Just always be eating.
Well, I mean, kind of a lot of the United States they do live by that motto, regardless. But some of us are not so lucky.
Well, Garrett, we might not have tea time here in the States, but we do have fourth meal.
Well, I guess it counts for something. Fourth meal.
That's like tea time.
Sure, yeah, that's American tea time.
It's tea time, but the T stands for tacos.
It's taco time. I like that. Yeah, so what can you say? It's one of these days we'll get to live in that luxury, but now we're just gonna have to live our days in suspense. getting us back here to tonight's premiere installment of Suspense. We are
how's this gonna shake out?
halfway through A Night at the End starring Boris Karloff. And yeah, I mean, so far we've got this cursed ruby that Karloff clearly has more information about than he's letting on. He's keeping it close to the vest. So
yeah,
that's
and who or what was this person or thing outside? I didn't really get a good look at them.
looked like a man in a turban.
Okay.
So it's, that's another thing that the sailors were talking about, is he was being followed by 3 men in turbans, and he was going to give him the slip, but he couldn't give him the slip. And
quite give him the slip.
Give him the slip. And yeah, so
In it.
And then they, at the commercial break, they tried to give Boris Karloff the slip, but again, Karloff knew something they didn't. And so he's resting comfortably in the inn, enjoying his tea. But we'll see what fate awaits his character, who I don't even know the name of. Does he even have a name? If it is, I have not caught it yet. If he has one,
We'll wait for the credits.
That's what they're leaving us in suspense for. What's his name?
What's his name?
The climax. They're finally going to say it clearly. But blah blah blah. Oh, that's his name. Oh my god. They got us. Oh, I never would have guessed. Yep, that's what this show is all about. That's what the suspense is. I figured it out.
Yeah, the suspense is his name as almost offensive as the other guy's name?
Well, we'll see. As almost. No, it was definitely Snickers, Mr. Snickers.
Right.
Like the candy. And nothing else. Yeah, we'll see. On that note, anything else before we get into it, Evan?
So I hope that I'm not right in my prediction here, but I like Karloff's play. If this is what he's doing, if you get a cursed gem, let somebody else get cursed first. Let them kind of let the curse wash off on them, and then you swoop in, you take it.
Right, because then you could neutralize the threat. You could, you get a little more information. Again, this is why he was in charge. This is why he was the smart guy. This is why the sailors just thought they could take opportunity and run with it out the front door scot-free. Life does not work that way. So we're going to see, without further ado, Evan, if you have it queued up.
Yep.
We're going to go ahead and get into the exciting conclusion of A Night at an Inn right now. First, we got to get a word from our sponsor.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed those commercials earlier,
the
because we
second
got
act
another one.
of Lord Dunsany's famous story of the supernatural, A Night at an Inn, starring Boris Karloff. While we're waiting for the curtain to go up, I'd like to tell you a little story about an amusing incident that happened recently.
Oh, hell
One
yeah.
of our local
Did he say
luminaries,
Lord
Marvin, the
Dunsany?
mystical
Yeah.
magician, had gotten himself all duded up for a big
Maybe.
appearance over on the other side of town.
Oh, hell
Now,
yeah.
Marvin was smooth all right, but you couldn't say the same for his car. It was missing and bucking like the Indian rope trick gone wrong.
Oh, my God.
Well, our friend Marvin did his darndest. He took a deep breath,
Oh!
leaned back, and cut loose with a real
Nice.
powerhouse step.
Whoa.
Marvin could make elephants vanish and a whole stage full of people disappear, but he couldn't get rid of that engine miss. Well, now, naturally, no one like Marvin, who is supposed to be a prominent prestidigitator, likes to have people know that he's lost his powers. So our friend Marvin came in for some real Autolite magic. What he got wasn't really magic. It was a combination of Autolite service
Thanks for clarifying it wasn't really magic. We needed it.
It was very simple. It was a
These
case of
spark
old
plugs
worn-out
aren't
spark
magic.
plugs. So, without any abracadabra, we replaced those
That
old
car is
plugs
kinda
with
like
some really
magic.
new wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs.
He's not a
No, sir,
doctor.
it's not magic. It makes the
His lab
Autolite
coat
resistor
says
spark plugs
Autolite.
The wonders that they are. It's ignition engineering. The years of research by Autolite engineers that developed
Scientists need to
sensational
just start
resistors
getting
built into
sponsors
all
put on their
Autolite
lab
resistor
coats
spark
like
plugs.
race car drivers.
Remember that
NASCAR.
Yeah.
It
Love
isn't
that.
magic either, but you'll think it is when you see how its low rate of electrode erosion permits a wide initial spark gap setting.
Prestidigitator.
It's a wide spark
Yeah.
gap that permits you to use a leaner gas mixture, and that means
I'm a
actual
professional
gas savings for you.
prestidigitator.
Not only that, the resistor that permits that wide gap setting helps you get a smoother idle too, and increases electrode
A
life
smoother
200%
idle.
more. Also, those Autolite resistor plugs cut down on radio and television interference. Yes, it's the resistor. that
Radio
does
and
that.
television interference.
Well, Marvin drove out of here as smooth and slick as pulling a rabbit from a hat as soon as we equipped his car with Autolite resistor spark plugs. So take a tip from Marvin and replace your old worn-out narrow gap type spark plugs with a set of those sensational new Autolite resistor spark plugs. Remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
Nice. Bum, bum, bum.
Now here is the second act of A Night at an Inn.
Oh, they're alive.
So you are.
How did they get you? How did they get you, Tom?
They walked, of course.
But it's 80 miles from here to Owl.
Did you know who's here, Tom?
Expected them about now.
80 miles?
What are we to do, Toffee?
Ask Albert.
If they can do things like this, there's no one can help us but you, Toff. I always knew you was a clever one. We won't be fools no more. We'll obey you.
You're strong enough and you're
Is his name
brave enough.
Toph?
Thing.
And not many would steal a ruby eye from out an idol's head. And from such an idol as that was to look at, and on such a night, too. You're brave enough, Bill, but you're all three of you fools. Jim would have none of my plans, and where's Jim? And George, what did they do to him?
Don't, Tommy,
So your strength is no good to you. You need cleverness, or they'll have you the way they had Jim and George.
We know.
Black priests will follow you around the world in circles, year after year, until they get the ruby eye. And if we die with it, they'll follow our grandchildren. And this fool thinks he can escape from men like that by running round 3 streets in the town of Hull.
What's truth? You haven't escaped them, because they're here.
So I suppose.
You suppose?
I took this place especially to receive them.
Well, you're a deep one.
I saw something just then, and we better shut the shutters.
Don't shut the shutters.
But Toffee, they can see us. One doesn't let the enemy do that.
Oh, I thought he was just about to go into his Grinch monologue.
Why not, Pop? Don't want any noise at my party.
Shut the shutters.
We might have guests who haven't been invited, but knives are a different matter.
I think they're coming now, Toffee.
Not yet.
But when will they come?
When I'm quite ready to receive them,
What do you do when they come?
I shall do nothing. They'll creep up behind. And then my 3 faithful friends, Sniggers and Bill and Albert, will do what they can.
You can trust us, Toff.
If you're a little late or slow, you'll see reenacted the cheerful spectacle that accompanied the death of Jim in Malta.
Don't, Tommy.
All right.
Leave me there, all right?
Now,
This guy's terrified.
I shall sit here, my back to that door. Now, you 3 go out, one by one. Mind now, be sure you cross that open window, so they'll think you've gone to the other room.
I get it, Toffee.
Then, crouch low, creep back, so that you'll be hiding here when I need you.
Night, Tommy.
Night, Tommy. Good night, Tom.
What?
Turn out the lights. Think the firelight will prove more inviting. No revolvers now. The police in Yorkshire are proverbially inquisitive.
What are you up to?
Be ready.
Don't slack on this one, boys. Oh. Oh. Ah! What?
Coffee. We only got one. What do we do? Only one? Yes. Very well. You shall now witness my demise at my Yorkshire residence. I shall be night, and you'll be ready to receive guests.
What? What? I'm so confused. What are you doing, bro? Stab him. Stab.
Out.
We've got two, Toffee. What do we do now?
Still enough?
Yes.
Albert, you get over to the window. Stage a fight with that healer. I know he's dead. You and Bill are going to resuscitate him. On his feet. Snickers, help. Keep low, keep low. Out to the window. Quick now, quick. Turn him over.
They're gonna weaken at Bernie's, this guy. What? Oh. Oh. Oh, you did. Oh! Brutal. God, this shows how to body count, huh? Cold-blooded murder. They could get away with this in the early days of television.
Very good night's work, my friend.
Well done, Toffee. You are a dig. You drink one of their blood one. How much is it worth, Toffee?
Everything they have in the shop.
I'm sure we all would be very grateful to Toffee.
Well, I just have a knack of foreseeing things. I should think you did.
I don't suppose there's anything happens that old Toffee don't foresee. Does it, Toffee?
No, I don't think it does, Bill. I don't really think it does. Turn on the lights.
What do we do with him?
Bury him in the garden.
Then what?
Then we go up to London and upset the ruby. Well, I think we've come through this night's work very well.
Well, the first thing we ought to do is give a little supper in honor of old Toffee.
Well, I think we've earned our bit of supper.
Here's
Somebody who guessed everything right. All right, good old Tom. Here's the puppy who saved our lives. Here, he foresees everything. Speech, Tom.
Speech.
I suppose in this world there are two kinds of men. There's the kind that can see.
What would that be? No wind and the shutters slamming.
It's wind. It's blowing both ways at once. Look.
Of course it's the wind. Fog's lifting. Must be lifting. Must be the wind.
Fog looks as thick as ever to me.
Sniggers, go outside and fasten that shutter back. Go outside. Well, gentlemen, as I was saying, in this world there are two kinds of men. Those who can see and those who can foresee. Now, the advantage of being able to foresee...
Stop it! I've been thinking about my share in that ruby. I don't want it, Tommy. I don't want it.
Nonsense, Sniggers, nonsense.
You should have it, Toffee. You should have it yourself. Only Si Sniggers has no share in this here ruby. Say it, Toffee. Say it.
Want to turn informer, Sniggers?
Toffee, take back my share, Toffee. Take it back.
What do you mean? What are you driving at?
I saw something. I saw something what I didn't like.
What didn't you like?
Toffee, take back my share. Please take it, Toffee.
What have you seen?
The idol. I've seen a beastly idol.
You couldn't have.
Take back. He's blind. He's groping. He wants that ruby eye back.
Then give it back, Toffee.
Please, Toffee, please give it back to him. I dare you, Toffee. Put that ruby in the window and you'll see. That's what he wants. That's what he's groping for. That's what he must have.
What? What? Oh. Ah! Ah!
What is it?
It's that obscene idol. Come from India. It's taking its eye.
What's that?
Say it.
Mr. William Jones.
William Joel, Billy Joel.
Albert, what is it?
Oh shit.
Tommy, what's happened? I've seen it. I've seen it.
What was it, Sniggers?
What is it? What is it?
Mr. Albert Thomas, evil seaman.
Must I go, Tommy? Must I go? Tommy!
Jesus Christ. This is intense.
It's suspenseful.
Smith, evil seaman.
I can't go, Tommy! I can't go!
Mr. Arnold Everett Scott Fortescue, late Esq. choir. Too late, the talkie. This I did not foresee.
Dun 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 dun. He's just gotta walk to his doom. Yep, didn't see this coming. Wow.
Thank you, Boris Karloff,
Oh, the
for
Autolite
fine
Doctor.
performance. The effects this evening were by Hank Silburn. And now, this is Rex Marshall speaking for Autolite, inviting you to join us next week for Suspense.
Wish the
and
stuff
reminding
would
you
go
that
away.
You're always right with Autolite.
Always right with Autolite. Those are some words to live by, huh?
Thanks, Autolite.
Wow. Well, that was A Night at the Inn, our first episode of Suspense. What do we think, Evan?
It was pretty fun. I liked all the actors. I kind of feel like, so this is based on a story.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wonder if maybe like the action of this works a little better like in text versus watching these guys crawl around on the floor for like the second half of this.
They did a lot of
episode.
their plan involved being below the window so the people outside couldn't see them. I mean, it was a little silly in some spots, but the suspense was definitely there. I mean, have you read the story that this is based
I
on?
haven't. I've meant to read some Dunsany, and maybe I will now. Maybe I'll go check out A Night at an Inn.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird title anyway.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of a. But
they said things a little different back then.
Right, they did. Yeah, and I mean it was kind of, there was a lot going on in the second half. Some kind of like twists and turns there at the end, which was good, I thought. Yeah, I would say Glastra, that that's just always the thing with these TV shows that are filmed live, is to what extent are you bound by the format to where it's almost like you're just doing a stage play and you're kind of stuck in a very flat set and you're not really moving around that set in a creative way. We've seen other shows where I think that I think obviously Lights Out really tried to do a lot in certain episodes to kind of like break the, that stage feeling. And I think there are a few episodes of Tales of Tomorrow that do that. Some are definitely kind of stuck. You're just kind of, a lot of times you're bound by just that one location. And so this did feel a little stagey from time to time. But I think the story was interesting enough. I mean, the idea of this, what did they call it? What did they call it? Not a deity. What did they call it? An idol.
The idol.
Yeah, the idea of this idol that is seeking revenge on these people, and to the point that it's actually some supernatural stuff. Like, again, that's the thing that you'll see examples in early television of murder and like a lot of murder and supernatural, and then at a certain point all that kind of like goes away, and it's like, goes almost back to like the early days where anything supernatural has to be explained away. Like, oh no, it wasn't really,
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for that to happen here. Like, he gets the the idol comes back and gets the ruby. I was waiting for him to take the mask off, or Karloff to be in on it, or there to be a person under there, something.
No,
but they played it straight. It was just a curse, and it got them.
Yeah, so that's what I think I liked about it. I think in terms of the story, I can appreciate that they didn't cop out and that they didn't explain it away or stop short, which is certainly a problem we've had with other television anthologies. Especially
who's gonna have some explaining away to do is that poor woman from the beginning who now is an inn full of corpses.
That's true. What is she? Now, on one hand, I guess she could make a whole new career rebranding her inn as like the murder inn, where like, for true crime junkies to come and stay, it could actually be a lucrative business opportunity for her if she spins it the right way. So let's not, it could have worked out. She could have made it all work out for herself. Who knows?
Yeah.
Give her some credit.
That's
like
taking a tragedy and turning it into an opportunity.
Like any enterprising business person. Come on. I mean,
right. Yeah. That feels very American.
Right.
Instead of spending our afternoons drinking tea, we're thinking of ways to make money.
How can I make money off of all this terrible stuff that happened near me? Yeah, ain't that America? Billy Joel. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that was a good way to start off with suspense, right? I think the episode definitely delivered on the title of the show. I think there was plenty of suspense. I think it was fun to see Karloff doing his thing. And yeah, the kind of the irony, the whole, Karloff's characters. Yeah, I'm the smart guy. I'm the smartest guy in the room. Nothing gets past me. And then he's like, well, shucks. And then he just has to accept. Yeah.
I do like that it kind of ended on a punchline.
It was silly, right? Yeah, it was a little. There was some absurdist British, like this was the most like non-Python sketch that I've seen. Yeah. It was very British, even though this is an American television show through and through. That was certainly a very British episode to start off with, but very enjoyable. And we'll see what they've got for us next week. I haven't picked an episode yet. I've just got a bunch written down that we will have the honor of watching this season. But yeah, I think a good way to kick off suspense. So we'll see what other suspenseful shenanigans we'll get into next week. But that'll be of course next week, 9 p.m. This Friday, we're going to be getting into the second feature film of season 11, and we've got our only silent movie of the season. Our silent movies are very spread out, and we've got a treat because this one features probably the most legendary silent film star of all time, Mr. Lon Chaney. And I'll just say Lon Chaney. I always feel weird calling him Lon Chaney Sr. because, he was the Lon Chaney. Before there was a Lon Chaney Jr.
The original.
You just had Lon Chaney. He didn't go by Lon Chaney Sr. He was just Lon Chaney. So
yeah. It's like how if like a sequel comes out, you might feel pressured to call the original, whatever one when you don't really have to.
Exactly. You're right. You want to make sure you're putting the proper respect on the name of the original. And so we're going to do that because we've already seen 2 other Lon Chaney silent films on the stream. We've seen The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Phantom of the Opera. Of course, those are 2 of his most well-known. This one, not as well-known, but should be fun because he plays a mad scientist in an old dark house. And this is The Monster from 1925, and it's a horror comedy. So it's, you know, we've had a few old Dark House horror comedies on the show as well, so you can kind of guess what to expect. But this is an early one, right? This is 1925, so I think there will be some tropes that maybe you're kind of being played with for the first time in certain respects, so that'll be interesting to see. Of course, Lon Chaney is a mad scientist. That's just a great.
I mean, what more could you want?
Seriously, I mean, again, mad scientist movies were not common in the 20s. Like, it really wasn't until Frankenstein that you started getting that being a kind of a regular feature of horror movies. So the fact that you've got a horror comedy in 1925 with Lon Chaney playing your mad scientist, it's like, all right, well, you're doing something right. So, and I haven't really seen this before. So that's the other nice thing. I've kind of been saving, like, watching this one all the way through for the show. So I'm excited to actually see, because this isn't one that you see a lot about, and people don't write a lot about it. So I don't know. I didn't see anything saying that it was bad, but the images I've seen look pretty intriguing. So,
well, we will find out.
We'll find out. And of course, as always, Evan brings us a delicious cocktail to pair with the evening's film and a little segment which he called.
What were you drinking?
What are we going to be drinking on Friday, Evan?
So, this Friday, you know, we've got a silent film, black and white movie. Sometimes those can be a little slower. So I thought, you know, we might need a little bit of a kick to get us through this one. So what I've come up with, this might be a bad idea, but we're going to try it. I'm calling this week's drink the Monochrome Monster. And if you'd like to make your own Monochrome Monster, you'll need vodka, cold brew coffee, and a Monster Energy, the white can variant. So we're it's been a while since we've had, you know, like a caffeinated cocktail, so we're gonna be responsible and careful with this. But
I know that you've mixed in some energy drink before, right?
Yeah, a long time ago we had the Jaeger Monster, or maybe the Monster Meister,
right?
Which was just Jaeger and Monster.
That's right. How could I forget? We were worried about that one, but it ended up being pretty good. It wasn't bad.
Fine.
It was fine.
And so that one was fine. So we're gonna put even more caffeine in this one.
Should be good. I'm excited. I like where your head is at. The idea of like swing, you know, trying to counter the balance here with, oh, okay, silent movie, you know, might be a little bit slower. All right, let's get the energy up. Let's keep it up. So I like where your head is at. I think that'll be perfect with the movie, because again, it's a comedy. It's meant for us to have fun with it, and I think that we will have fun with it. And again, it's, you know, Lon Chaney doing his thing, which Glassra, yes, isn't that a great fact that his real name was Leonidas? And, you know,
oh wow,
yeah,
what?
Leonidas Chaney, and Leonidas Chaney, and yeah, Leonidas Frank, I think, was his middle name. Leonidas Frank Chaney.
You got Lon out of Leonidas.
He got Lon out of that, which, you know, he's got such a great, like, an interesting life story. His parents, we talked about it before. We'll talk about it on Friday, but you know, both of his parents were I think they were deaf and mute. So he learned, and he was not, but he had learned like sign language and all that, and like just had kind of a very expressive form of communication, which carried over into his acting. Well, it's always he's just got a very interesting story, not done justice to in the biopic, which we'll talk about that on Friday. I'll have fun with it. And of course we'll be, having our Saturday night shockers on Saturday. We'll be getting our spine tingling tales going up again. I'm still kind of dragging my feet, but Evan's building himself a nice little backlog of episodes here, so I got to play catch up.
Well, if you need some new stories, maybe look at Mr. Dunsany.
True. I'm gonna have to add him to the list. This was an interesting one tonight. I don't know how the reading compares to the adaptation here, but it is something. So, but yeah, we're gonna be riding this wave into spooky season, and it'll be a good one. We'll have some fun things in store. So definitely looking forward to that. Anything before we sign off tonight, Ed?
Well, it seems like spark plugs is what it's all about, but if that's moving up, then we're moving out.
Beautiful. On that note, thanks for watching, everybody, tonight. Thanks for hanging out in the chat, Glastra and Kathy and Dogstar, of course, and I know who else. So Ethan popped in here. Appreciate you guys watching as always. Until Friday, sweet screams, everybody.
And to all, a good fright.